giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel Podcast, and here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Welcome. I am so happy to have you join me as we get ready to launch this brand new episode or brand new series called Supercharge Your Sales Success Series. And so the whole concept behind this is I wanted to create a number of bite-sized episodes. And if you're new to me and you're finding this on YouTube, we're actually going to be putting this out on YouTube for the first time. And there's going to be a handful of them there. If you are only just finding me on YouTube, head on over to the Art of Selling Travel podcast. You're going to find me there, available on iTunes, Spotify, Google, kind of all the different places, or on the Art of Selling Travel website. So let's get started. First and foremost, if you are brand new to any of this world, my name is Glenda, and I've been selling travel for just shy of 20 years. I started with absolutely zero experience in the industry. I actually applied to a blind ad for a receptionist at a small town business. I had no idea what kind of job I was applying for. And yet it turned out to be the travel industry. There's a whole long story that goes along with that. The fact that that's what I was actually supposed to go to college for. And at the last minute kind of bailed out. But anyhow, everything kind of comes full circle. And I've spent nearly 20 years selling travel. And I couldn't have imagined a better industry to be in. In about 2016, 2017, I started to feel that pull, that twinge, that something just was missing. By that point, I built up a team of outside sales agents or independent contractors or whatever you want to call them. And I think at that point, I think the most I ever had on the books at one time was about 12. And while I loved it, the part I loved was the coaching, the mentoring, the walking them through to create opportunities to get together and brainstorm and really and truly help them grow their sales and go through all the processes of what it takes to become a travel advisor. Now, when it came time to do all the admin work, the back behind the scenes and this, that, the other, not my zone of genius. And when it's not your zone of genius, sometimes it can also be really hard to find the right people who it is because you don't necessarily have the same understanding of that. So what I will say is, while that was not my zone of genius, I learned so much on that part of it. But that's not why we're here. Why we're here is to talk about sales, to talk about what it takes to be a successful travel advisor. And that's what this entire series is designed to do. We're going to be talking each couple of days here. We're going to be dropping multiple episodes. If you've been around the podcast for a while, you know that they drop once a week. We are going to be speeding up that schedule, and we're going to be dropping like 3 or 4 a week, probably for about the next 2 weeks. And the reason why I'm saying probably is because I still don't know how many episodes are going to be in the series. That seems wrong, but I don't know because I still keep getting great ideas and other things. I'm like, oh, yes, that needs to be in there. And oh, yeah, I need to talk about that. And oh, my heavens, I am still a part of a huge number of travel agent groups. And I'm seeing the questions that are coming up. I'm seeing the things that other supposed coaches are saying and things like that. Okay, if you've been around, I chase a squirrel. We're going to chase a squirrel for a second. Before you give another penny to any other coach out there, I want you to find out, one, how much do they actually know about the service they're selling? It's really easy to sell something to a very pinpointed audience. I will tell you, it is a whole lot easier to market specifically to travel agents as a very tight-knit group than what it was to market river cruises to a somewhat specified group, but not as critically tied in. So here's my thing. If you're buying services from somebody, if let's say it's marketing, because that's what most of them are out there selling is marketing. They don't necessarily sell the sales because marketing's it's kind of sexy. It's fun. It's not filled with awkward conversations where you actually have to talk about money with people and that you have to really go, hey, so that objection, let's get over that, and all of the things that come along with that. So, in which case, how much do they know about the travel industry? Because if they have never sold travel, I'm going to say there's a chance those marketing tactics they're teaching are strictly tactics. They're not actually part of a strategy, and they're probably not going to convert the way they need to. In fact, I hear from travel agents all the time, but I'm taking this marketing program and I'm taking that marketing program and I've got all the marketing funnels and I've got this, that, the other. Here's the scoop. If you don't know how to close off the bottom of the bucket with all the things that are pouring into it, all the things you're putting into your funnel, all the things you're putting into your pipeline, if you don't know how to close it off at the bottom, it's all for nothing. Another thing I hear from a lot of travel agents is, oh, I don't need sales training because I'm still trying to get clients. Well, that's great. But what happens when you get the first client? A lot of them don't know how to close it. And that's where I come in because that's what I help teach. That's what I help guide travel agents through. I'm going to tell you right here and now, you are already a salesperson. 1000% you are a salesperson. If you've ever trained your dog to sit on command, you were a salesperson. If you ever got your kids to eat their vegetables, you were a salesperson. If you ever got your spouse to agree to buy something that they didn't want to buy, you, my friend, are a salesperson. But what I wanted to talk about is what we're going to be going over in the next couple of episodes. We're going to be talking about the ways that your marketing is actually going to be hurting your sales prospects. We're going to be talking about what it takes to really and truly dive into sales. Why do you need to embrace being a salesperson? I hear it all the time from people who say, well, I don't sell. I'm not in sales. I help design vacations. I help plan vacations. Well, guess what? Unless you are an architect and you are selling a piece of paper that they then take to somebody else to build, you kind of got to be in sales. And even that, the architect had to sell themselves in order to be able to do that. But the question I have for you today, because we're keeping these episodes short, is are you open for business? Now, unless you've yet to launch your business, you're probably saying, of course I am. Why wouldn't I be open for business? Of course I'm open for business. Well, you might know that you're open for business, or rather, you might think you're open for business, but do your clients or potential clients know that you're open for business? This, to a degree, comes back to a question that we've been getting a lot in our Facebook group, the sticky sales scenarios for travel agents on Facebook. Come join the group. And in there, there's an intake question. What is the thing you're struggling with the most? And each Friday we break it down. We do a Facebook Live, and people can chime in and ask questions live and that sort of thing as well. But we take one scenario or one topic each week and we let everybody chime in. And this particular week is all about my friends and family ask me all sorts of questions, get my advice, do everything, and then they go book it on their own. Why? Or how do I stop that? So if this is something that's happening to you, my question for you is, how are you presenting yourself? You know, a lot of times with our friends and family, they're our sounding board. They're our soft place to land, things like that. So we might tell them about, oh, I'm taking these trainings. They're taking forever. I'm never getting through them all. But guess what? If you're not getting through them all, and that's all they're hearing is you're taking trainings, they did not hear that you're open for business, that you're ready to start selling, that you're ready to help them. Or if you say things like, oh, there's so much to learn, I'll never know enough. I'll never know it all. I'll never be good enough. We're not asking people to spend $20 or $30 with us. We're asking them to spend 20 or 30,000 with us. Maybe we're only asking for 2 or 3,000, but odds are good you're probably asking for 20 or 30,000. So what is that energy that you're putting out there? My question for you is, if you thought long and hard, just this is a question between you and I, about the energy you're putting out there. What is it? Is it nervous that you don't know enough? Is it unsure of what you're doing? Is it depressed because nobody's buying from you? Is it desperate because you just have this target you want to make? What is that energy? In fact, I encourage you to write it down. When you feel about your travel business, when you are talking to those who love you most, those who support you most, maybe it's even the energy you're putting into other travel agent groups. I want you to write out what all are those energies. And then when you're done that, in fact, you know what? Pause the video, pause the listening right now, unless you're driving. You can still pause it if you're driving. Just don't write it down. Just think about it. And then when that's all done, I want you to ask yourself, would you buy from somebody else who was putting out that kind of energy? I've joined an accountability group for other professionals in the coaching world, things like that. We were from all across North America, teaching all different sorts of genres, niches, things like that. Nobody else is in the world that I am in. And it was really funny because somebody said to me in the group, so what made you do this? Like, what made you pick what you do? And I said, well, I've got nearly 2 decades of selling and I absolutely love what I do. I'm a little bit of a sales geek in terms of the books I read are all on sales. And when somebody tells me an amazing sales story, like to me, that is like better than replaying the plot of a movie. I love it. And they said, okay, why should people choose you? And I said, because I'm freaking awesome at what I do. And it was funny because they all kind of like sat back and they just looked at me and they said, what? I said, I love what I do. And I love taking the problem that people have. When my travel clients would come to me, I looked at it like this giant puzzle. When I went through the consultation and they would approach me with, or when they would approach me with their first inquiry, then we went through the consultation and we could pull it apart. A lot of times, what they inquired about had nothing to do with what it was that they actually wanted. And then to take all those pieces of the puzzle and put it together was like the highest high I could ever get. Being able to put all those puzzle pieces together was the best high ever. And I said, I know that if I didn't help them, if I didn't serve them, and if I didn't sell them, then somebody else was going to, that was never going to care enough, was never going to pay enough attention, was not going to go deep enough. And worse yet, that they might have been left to a computer algorithm. And I said, my number one job when I sold travel was to make sure that my clients had the utmost faith that I knew exactly what I was talking about, that I was going to make sure that they were looked after from beginning to end, and that they did not have to worry at all. I was the authority in travel for my clients. There was never a question. Because if I didn't know an answer, I knew how to find the answer. And it never, ever, ever occurred to me to tell them, I don't know. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I haven't done enough. Instead, I would say, wow, that's a really interesting question. I'm not as familiar with that as I would like to be. So if you wouldn't mind, I would love to get back to you on that so that I can do some more research, because I always want to make sure you have the very best information possible going forward. When you've made it about the other people, they love it. I was listening to a podcast just the other day. It was a sales one. David Newman, I think was his name, was on the Women Your Mother Warned You About podcast. And he talked about the horoscope theory. And it's actually in his book. I had just read his book a little bit while ago too. He said the horoscope is a prime example because the horoscope is all about the person that's reading. Sales, effective sales, everything to do with objections is just like a horoscope. You make it about the person that you're working with. Okay, this one's starting to go a little long, so we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to be back here in 2 days. So make sure you check it out. That one, we're going to go over all the ways that your marketing is hurting your sales opportunities. And we will see you back here right then. Until that day, happy selling. Bye bye.